Broadcasting live from beautiful Middle Tennessee. It's the Mr. Big Show. And here he is, Mr. Big.
Hi, welcome back to the Mr. Big Show for the 2024 edition of Games I'm Thankful For. I've played a lot of games over the years, and this year I've selected two that have really impacted my taste in gaming over the years. From the moment I first played them, I knew that they were going to be an integral part of my gaming life. The first game I'm going to speak about is MegaMan X for the Super Nintendo. It's a seminal classic, and it brought its series into the 16-bit era with style. So without further ado, let's talk about some MegaMan X. Released in December 1993 in Japan and January of 1994 in North America, MegaMan X took the beloved Blue Bomber into a whole new direction, revolutionizing the franchise. Set in the futuristic world of 21XX, you step into the metallic boots of X, an advanced robot created by Dr. Light with the extraordinary ability to think, feel, and make its own decisions. This leap in AI technology sets the stage for an epic adventure that would captivate players around the world. What truly made MegaMan X stand out from its predecessors was its incredibly refined and innovative gameplay. The tight, responsive controls that the series was already known for were taken to new heights, allowing for precise movements and split-second decisions. The introduction of the wall jumping mechanic added a whole new dimension to level traversal, enabling players to reach new heights and discover hidden secrets. Perhaps most notably, the ability to charge your X-Buster for a more powerful shot added a strategic layer to combat, allowing players to adapt their approach to different enemy types and boss battles. These new mechanics, combined with the classic Mega Man formula of run-and-gun action, created a perfect blend of familiarity and innovation that kept players coming back for more. The game's level design was nothing short of brilliant, showcasing the expertise of Capcom's talented development team. Each of the 8 main stages was meticulously crafted, offering a perfect balance of challenge and exploration. From the icy slopes of Chill Penguin stage to the electrifying platforms of Spark Mengel's domain, every level had its own unique theme and obstacles to overcome. Hidden upgrades and secret paths rewarded thorough exploration, encouraging players to revisit stages and discover new strategies. And who could forget the heart-pounding thrill of defeating a Maverick boss and gaining their special weapon to use against another one? This signature feature of Mega Man was elevated in the Mega Man X series, with each acquired weapon not only being useful in combat, but also serving as a key to unlock new paths and secrets in other stages. Visually, Mega Man X pushed the Super Nintendo to its limits, showcasing what the 16-bit powerhouse was truly capable of. The detailed character sprites brought X, Zero, and the Maverick bosses to life with fluid animations and expressive designs. The vibrant color palette utilized the Super Nintendo's extensive range, creating visually distinct and memorable environments for each stage. Smooth animation from X's dash to the spectacular boss transformations were a feast for the eyes that still impress to this day. Special effects like the charged shot's glow or the explosions from defeated enemies added that extra layer of visual flair that made the game pop off the screen. And let's not forget that killer soundtrack composed by the talented Setsuo Yamamoto, Yuki Iwai, Yuko Takehara, and Toshihiko Horiyama. From the iconic adrenaline-pumping opening stage scene to the pulse-pounding boss battle music, every track perfectly complemented the on-screen action and has become a deeply ingrained memory in players. But what has really set Mega Man X apart from its predecessors and contemporaries was its compelling storyline. It marked a significant shift towards a darker and more mature narrative, compared to the lighter tone of the original Mega Man series. The game delved into complex themes such as free will, the nature of humanity, and the potential consequences of advanced artificial intelligence. Players were confronted with moral dilemmas as they witnessed the struggle between Maverick Hunters and Mavericks, robots who had turned warred against humanity. The introduction of characters like Zero, X's more experienced and sometimes morally ambiguous ally, added depth to the narrative and set up storylines that would be explored in future installments. This more nuanced approach to storytelling in an action platformer was relatively uncommon at the time and helped elevate MegaMan X beyond just being a great game to play. MegaMan X wasn't just a great game, it was a pivotal moment for the franchise and the genre as a whole. Its success spawned its own series of sequels, including 7 mainline entries and several spin-offs across multiple platforms. The X series became a beloved staple of the action platformer genre, with each entry building upon the solid foundation laid by the original. The influence of MegaMan X can still be felt in action platformers today, from its tight controls and level design philosophy to its approach to power-ups and boss battles. Many modern indie games play homage to MegaMan X, demonstrating its lasting effect on game design and player expectations. So, whether you're a longtime fan who's been with the series since its days on the NES, or a newcomer curious about classic gaming, MegaMan X is a game that absolutely deserves to be played and appreciated. It stands as a shining example of what made the Super Nintendo era so special. A perfect blend of cutting-edge technology, innovative gameplay, and timeless design. The game's legacy continues to inspire both developers and players, cementing its place in the pantheon of video game greats. That's all for today's dive into MegaMan X. If you've enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to this channel for more retro gaming content. And let me know in the comments section below, what's your favorite MegaMan X memory? Did you have a particular stage or boss that stood out to you? Or maybe a specific upgrade that changed the way that you played the game? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences with this classic title.
On to the second game of 2024's Games I'm Thankful For. The second game I'm going to be talking about is Pokemon Gold for the Game Boy Color. But before I talk about that, I need to go back and talk about Pokemon Red and Blue. I was enraptured with the franchise from the very beginning. From the first episode of the anime, I was immediately hooked. Growing up without a lot of money, I wasn't able to immediately buy Generation 1 Red or Blue. I had to perpetually borrow my friend's copy that had already played it and beaten it. The first time I played through and beat it, I immediately started another save file just to do it all over again. And all I did was play Pokemon Red version. I was hooked. Finally, for Christmas, my mom bought me a yellow Game Boy Color and Pokemon Special Pikachu Edition. And this did hold me over, but I knew that there were new games on the horizon, and I simply could not wait and could not be satisfied. So, here is what I think about Pokemon Gold.
Pokemon Yellow version, or Special Pikachu Edition, was an enhanced version of Pokemon Red and Blue. It had new front sprites for the Pokemon, the trainers, and the gym leaders that you would face, bug fixes, and a more robust color palette for the Game Boy Color or the Super Game Boy. The big hook of Yellow version was that it more closely followed the storyline of the anime, which basically followed Red and Blue version's story progress, but did add and tweak story elements to make it more enjoyable for a television audience, and pad out the episode count. While at the time this was a good holdover, it was not a new Pokemon game in the strictest sense. However, a new Pokemon game was being created, and it would surpass its predecessor in every conceivable metric. Originally intended to be the last Pokemon games, Generation 2 was simply known as Pokemon 2, and had entered development almost immediately after Pokemon Red and Green had released in Japan in 1996. It was first shown off at the Space World Expo in 1997 and was a very different game than what would eventually release. But more on that another time. While development started in 1996, the game wouldn't release for another 3 years in Japan, and another 11 months after that to release worldwide. Many reasons were cited for the long development time. Pokemon Stadia was in the works for the Nintendo 64, Generation 1 was being translated into English, the game is being optimized for use with the Game Boy Color,
which it did eventually release for, among other reasons. Whatever the reason was, it wouldn't be until the end of 1999 before Pocket Monsters Gold and Silver would release for the Game Boy Color in Japan, and needless to say, it was a hit. 14-year-old me absolutely had to play this game as soon as humanly possible, and with a release date of October the 16th feeling years away at the time, I had to figure something out and fast. Thusly, Pocket Monsters Generation 2, whichever version it was is lost to time, became the very first game I downloaded a ROM off the internet for. The ROM was obviously completely in Japanese, so I had no clue what was going on. But I didn't care because I was playing Pokemon Generation 2, and everything felt right. I don't remember which starter I chose or how far I even made it into the game before the language barrier got me, but sitting in my grandmother's computer nook playing this game before it released is one of my fondest gaming memories. With over 100 new Pokemon, including version exclusives Lugia for Silver and Ho-Oh for Gold, 3 new legendaries in the form of the legendary dogs, Raikou, Entei, and Suicune, and numerous evolutions and baby forms for pre-established Generation 1 Pokemon, the game had added quite a bit to Generation 1. The formula stayed effectively the same. Find and capture Pokemon, beat the gyms and the resurrected Team Rocket, while trying to complete your Pokedex and become the Pokemon champion. You'll run into a few side quests to divert you from your journey, but it's a pretty straightforward endeavor. If you're a Game Boy Color enthusiast, I highly recommend adding this to your collection. Or if you've never played Pokemon, skip Generation 1 and jump right into this generation, and you will have a much better experience overall. There is so much more to both of these games that I didn't get to mention in this episode, so much so that they could both easily qualify as episodes on their own, but this is meant as more of an overview. Did you play Pokemon Gold and Silver on the Game Boy when it came out, or did you start with some of the newer generations and went back and just found this gem? Or have you not played it yet and you're simply curious? Let me know in the comments below, and thank you for listening, and talk to you again soon. If you like what you hear, please like and subscribe.